Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's late afternoon already. As predicted yesterday, my alteration and the other things I needed to do took way longer than I thought. So I'm finally starting work on the sequin layer for the candy cane dress now. So I've got all my pattern pieces here. If you watched yesterday's video, you would have seen that I decided I need to interline all of my sequin pieces just because they're quite see-through and you can still see the just that shadow of the boning coming through them. So I'm going to use the lining fabric I bought from Spotlight last week, and I'm going to interline my sequins with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out all of my pattern pieces for the dress, but not the godets, from this lining fabric, and then I'm going to hand baste this onto the back of my sequin fabric. Okay, so it's about 9:30 now. I've managed to get all of the pieces, the long pieces for the outside, basted and cut. So that's all the backs and side backs there. That's the fronts and side fronts pinned together and just pinned onto the dress form. And then I've decided that I will interline the godets, and I've got just enough sequin fabric. I've just laid it on the floor and jigsawed them on, and I've got just enough to get the 7 of those out of my sequin fabric as well. So it was close. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight. I'll do this video as a 2-day video. And I'll be back in the morning to show you how I baste, because I didn't film any of the basting. So I'll show you how I baste these, and then show you how I join the outside together and join the whole thing together. Morning, welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on the sequin layer of the candy cane dress. So yesterday you saw I got everything basted for the long pieces, with the lining fabric basted onto the sequins ready to sew. And then originally I wasn't going to interline the godets, but I've decided that just for consistency, just in case it looks slightly different with the lining fabric under these pieces, but then not under the godets, I've decided that I will do them as well. So now I've got to hand baste all 7 of them onto the sequin fabric. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is pin them in place while they're on the floor, because I've got so little room to move on these sequins. I think it'll be easier to do it on the floor. I wish I had a huge cutting table. My desk is big, but it's not wide enough, and I can't walk around both sides. I'd love to have a bigger space with a way bigger cutting table one day. So for now, I'm gonna pin these into place, and then I'll probably just cut them in half just to make it easier. Cut down. Well, you can't see. Move the camera down. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to pin all of these into place just while they're on the floor. Then I'll cut down the middle. I'll cut it into 2 sections just to make it easier to move, and pop it onto my desk and tack and cut each piece out. Okay, so now I've got my pieces on. I'm just going to use some thread to do some long basting stitches around the edge to hold it in place. I always work this way and cut one piece and then baste it onto the other fabric and then cut that fabric, rather than cutting 2 pieces and basting them together. I find it's just a little bit more accurate, and I always cut the fabric that's easiest to cut without it moving first. So if I'm basting something really slippery on like a chiffon onto a satin, I'll cut the satin first and then baste it onto the chiffon, rather than the other way around. Both of these cut quite nicely, so kind of didn't matter which way round I did it for this. But what I'm going to do now is hand stitch some long basting stitches all the way around the edge, making sure I stay this side of my seam allowance so the stitches don't show once it's sewn together, so I don't have to unpick them afterwards. And then once I've gone all the way around, I'll cut it out. And there we have one interlined piece of sequin fabric. So from now on I'll just treat that as one layer as I'm sewing it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do exactly the same for the remaining 6 godets. Now I've got all my pieces interlined and cut out, the next thing I'm going to do is just work on the centre back before I join anything together. So I want to put a concealed zip in the centre back, but because we're going to see the inside of it as we do up the first zip of the corseted lining layer, what I'm actually going to do is separate the interlining from the sequins at this point, put the zip just on the sequin layer, and then turn this under to give a nice neat finish. And I'm also going to turn under the top just up sort of across to there and up to there, like we did again on the lining, but I'm not going to do it as low. But then I want my interlining to be back joined to the sequins here, so I'm going to have to stitch them separately at the top, but then have them back as one layer here to put the godet in the centre back. So I'm going to start by just joining the very top of this, probably down to about there, so from the bottom of the zip halfway down to where the godet is going to start. Then I'm going to work on the top part, and then I'll work on the bottom part. Okay, so I'm going to join just the sequin layer here, put my zip in, finish my top, and finish the inside of the zip. Okay, so I've got my zip in and the top finished, so I've just turned the edges under like I did with the lining layer. And then when I join it to the lining, this layer and the lining layer will come apart from about here. So this layer will be separate to zip up, which meant that I could put the concealed zip in. So that's the outside. And then on the inside, I've hand stitched the lining down to the inside, so it's a neat finish when it's open. And then here, I needed the lining to be on the opposite side to the part here where the godet joins in. So what I ended up doing was just cutting 2 triangles out of the lining and the sequins, so I could have it this side and then flip it to the other side to sew that seam. So it's not perfect, but it looks okay, and I think once I've pressed it on the outside, it's going to look neat from the outside. So I probably should have overlocked all these straight parts of the lining because they're fraying quite badly, but I'm just running out of time to get this dress done before Christmas. If it was for a client, I'd definitely do it, but because this is a dress for a video and it's a sample dress and me trying a new technique, I'm just going to leave it like this. So I'm actually going to have to leave it there for now because I've got to go off and get my hair done now. My roots are bad and my hairdresser's, it's her last day working, so I'm going to go and get my roots dyed, get my hair dyed, and then hopefully, depending on how long that takes, I may be back in time to get on with this for another hour or so this evening. Hey, I'm back from getting my hair dyed. My roots are gone and I'm pink again, and I feel ready to take on the world. It's amazing how getting your hair done makes you feel so good, doesn't it? So I was there for quite a while, so it's quite late now. I'm going to spend an hour just sewing some of these layers together and starting to sew the godets in. I'll see how far I get in that hour, probably not that far, but I'll show you how much I've done in an hour's time, and then I'll be back working on it tomorrow lunchtime. I've got clients all morning tomorrow morning. Yeah, so this week's turned out busier with work for clients than I thought it would, so I haven't got as far with the candy cane dress as I would have liked to. I was hoping to have a few full days to work on it, but it just hasn't worked out like that. So I'm going to sew as much as I can now, get as much of it together as I can now, then I'll show you that, and then I'll be back tomorrow to show you the next step. Okay, I managed to get all the seams sewn. It's taken me about an hour and a half rather than an hour. So now I'm going to turn it in the right way and put it onto the dress form, and hopefully it looks good. I haven't pressed it yet, so if all the seams look lumpy, that's why. I love it. It looks so pretty. Look at that sparkle. I was a bit worried that the lining fabric was sliding on the sequins as I was sewing it, but it looks like it's absolutely fine. Yeah, it looks like it's hanging well. Yay! I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased. I'll move the camera in and do a close-up so you can get a better view, but I'm really happy with how that's looking. The front. And there's the back. Here we go, and if I come in close you can see how this 2 zip sort of situation is going to work, or you could do lacing on the underneath layer. So if you imagine once I've joined these 2 seams together, right sides together, and then they'll come apart right there. So you've got this layer, which looks nice and neat when you open it, and then this layer. And because I've just dropped this layer here, when this one zips up, and again you could do this with a lace up instead of a zip in this part if you really wanted to nip that corset in, and then when that zips up it sits really neatly over it. So I think my plan is working. Excellent, so that's it for today. I'm going to call it a night because it's about, I think it's about 10 o'clock already. Again, the days are just zooming past. I've got clients all morning tomorrow, so hopefully around early afternoon after lunch I can show you how I join around the top and finish the shoulder, and then it'll be time to start making the candy cane stripes, which I am really, really excited about. So I've got to press it too. Ugh, I hate pressing, but I need to press all these seams. So I will do that and then show you how to join it together tomorrow afternoon. So thanks for watching, thanks for being here, and I'll be back soon with the next part.